My wife and I recently visited Monticello, the home of Thomas Jefferson, which is located in Charlottesville, Virginia. Also the home of the University of Virginia, which was founded by Thomas Jefferson. We took a tour of the house and the grounds, and it was a really amazing experience. Learned a lot about Thomas Jefferson. This is the museum at the visitor's entrance where you get your tickets. And I'm not going to bore you with all the history and everything because I can't remember it all. But, you can look it up on Wikipedia, but I just wanted to give you a pictorial tour of what we got to see. So this is stuff from the museum. This is a painting that's in the museum at the Visitors Hall. When you arrive, you go to the ticket place. You can buy a ticket for the grounds and a tour of the ground floor of the house, or you can get for $40, or you can get a tour that includes the upstairs for $90. We just took the regular tour, and it was an amazing tour. We learned a lot. We're still in the Visitor Center Museum here with artifacts from Thomas Jefferson's life. But once you get your tickets, you go through the museum, and then you go out here. This is the bus station, and that's the statue of Thomas Jefferson. It's outside the bus station. You take a bus up to the house, and there we are. We arrived at the house, and our tour started about 15 minutes after we arrived. So we walked around for a little bit, then we went inside the house. They say no video inside the tour, but you can take still photos. So that's a photo of a clock that was designed by Thomas Jefferson, which lasts for about a week. It runs on cannonballs hanging from a chain. Here are some artifacts, Native American artifacts. There's maps. He had a bunch of busts, a Voltaire bust. He had an Alexander Hamilton bust on one side and his bust on the other side because he said he wanted them to be opposed on opposing sides. There's some artifacts from the Lewis and Clark expedition and a Native American map on a skin, or artwork on a skin. The tour begins in the main entrance, and they pointed out that there was no stairwell in the main entrance, but there was a balcony of the upstairs bedrooms, and there's a chandelier. This is all original stuff because the house was purchased by an Admiral Levy from the family. When Jefferson died, they were deeply in debt. They couldn't keep up the property. They had to sell parts of the plantation property off. Okay, we're in the library now. From the main parlor, you go into the library, and apparently Jefferson was an avid book collector, but when the Library of Congress burned during the War of 1812, he sold all his books to them so they could replenish their collection, and then he started a new collection, and that's what's in the house right now. This is his study, his office, where he did his writing and his work. Lots of interesting things in here, like a machine that would let him write by hand, and it was attached to a mechanism that copied what he was writing on a different piece of paper. I think that's it right there, as a matter of fact. Busts and artwork. From the study, you go into his bedroom, which is attached by the bed. You see the bed there, looks into the study. Short bed. He was 6'1". The man said that he slept upright like he was in a recliner, I guess you could say, because pneumonia was so rampant in those days and the fluid in the lungs that you didn't want to be flat. You could drown. And you can see the bedpan there. There's his personal toiletry items in his chair and his bed shirt and everything. Little chair for a big guy. We went to Hermitage, which is Andrew Jackson's home, and saw his suit, and he was a real little fellow. And I thought, well, was Thomas Jefferson little too? And the guy said, no, he just had little stuff. There's a nightlight that was in his bedroom. He was an innovator of utilizing lights, natural lighting. There's the bed looking straight through. He's got a clock there and a sword and a pistol. And he liked to wake up. He said it was time to go to sleep when he could no longer see what time it was. When it was too dark to see what time it was, that was his time to go to sleep. There's his bedpan. And so from the bedroom, you go into. Oh, there's another view. He had these portholes. That upstairs space was kind of for storage. And of course, there's another look at his bedroom personal stuff. His little chair, his boots. Okay, so we're heading now into the parlor, which is straight through the main entrance, and that's a view you can see as you're walking through there. And this is the parlor. He had a bunch of tables and chairs, and there's a map. My dog's playing with a whistle, so that's the sound you hear. I was trying to record this in a quiet time, and that wasn't going to happen. So in the parlor, there's a lot of paintings. You see John the Baptist's head with Salome. Let's see, what else have we got here coming up? He was a chess player. There's a chess game. There's more portraits. And you can look it up what portraits there are. I don't remember off the top of my head all of them. But I think there's George Washington, there's Lafayette. There was one of himself. There's one of John Adams. John Locke. There's multiple people that he admired and had portraits. And these are all original portraits that were there when he was there. And there's the piano. They said his daughter or his granddaughter played piano and a guitar. Music was a big part of their lives. Back in those days, everybody learned how to play an instrument. Whether they were good or not was a different thing, but they all learned how to play. You could sit in front of the fire. And he entertained. There was always people there. There was 12 bedrooms upstairs. We didn't take the upstairs tour. There's the chess set. And there's I think that they said that was a vacuum machine. And it was a real oddity for that time, so it was just a talking point. Okay, so this is outside a view of the dome at the University of Virginia that was designed by Thomas Jefferson. He used to look out there with a telescope at the dome he designed for the university, and that's similar to the dome that was on his house. And they said that dome was hot, it was not used, it was not a good space. But that dome, it was Italian. He wanted an Italian design. And it was hot in the summer and cold in the winter, and the bedrooms upstairs were hot in the summer and cold in the winter. There's 12 bedrooms. His bedroom was on the ground floor and was more comfortable, apparently. But his guests stayed upstairs, and apparently it was always full. And we went on so after the tour, they have a Thomas Jefferson impersonator that does a couple shows a day, and he was amazing. He looks just like him. There's a portrait in there of Thomas Jefferson made in his late years, and this guy looks just like him, and he was really good, very knowledgeable. Well, Mom, as you can see, our beautiful view is obstructed. So we have to get on the other side of the tent to see the building. We can't see it with the lawn. I think we're about in between bloom sessions. But these flowers, I don't know what they are. I'm sure you do, but boy, they smell good. And you can see where we are in relation to the Monticello, which is blocked by that big tent. But I'll take you on a little walking tour real quick of what's in bloom right now. Got this stuff. And what are these, snapdragons?
Corn poppy.
And then more of these little pink things. A big tree. And then a lot of this stuff, it looks like it's either fixing to bloom or it's already bloomed. Then you can see there's one little patch that's in bloom right there. And then there's Monticello, and there's that big tent in the way. That's annoying. The guy said that it wasn't even, it's an event that happened a long time ago, and they just haven't taken the tent down yet. So after the house tour, you have the run of the grounds, and on one side of the house, there's restrooms and a little place to get coffee or a sandwich. And there's also some museum exhibits. You can see there's Jefferson's wagon and just some other stuff that shows the routes that were taken from Washington to Baltimore to his house. His house was in the wilderness in the far west of the state. At that time was not like it is now. That was the Wild West. There's another view of wagon. Then you can walk underneath the house to the other side, and that's where the wine cellar was, the storage cellar, all the food and everything. And once you get to the other side, there's what they call the Mulberry Row, and that's where the gardens are, and that's where the slave quarters were. And there's some slave quarter exhibits. There's a slave quarter tour. There's a garden tour. There's an archaeological tour. There's a lot going on that you can do for the price of admission. There's that Mulberry Row again going down. And here is the grave of Admiral Levy's wife, which is up near the gardens. That's really the only grave that's not in the cemetery. More gardening exhibits. And once you go through the gardens and look at the grounds and you're ready to leave, you can either take the bus back down or do like we did and walk back down. All right, we're fixing to walk down the mountain. Up there is where the house is, and then we're leaving the main grounds and we're going down to the cemetery. So this is kind of straight down. So it's going down. Once we go down, there ain't no coming back up. That's what Lynn said.
Yeah, I'm not walking back up it.
So it's about a quarter of a mile from the house to the cemetery where Thomas Jefferson and his family are buried. And we walk that down, and you can't get into the cemetery, but you can stand outside of it, and you can see his grave and his wife and his children and grandchildren and other extended family, plus other people that live there. And there's his grave, and you can read his grave. That's the things he wanted to be remembered by. And I can't see it good right now, but you can read that on your own. There's family members' graves. And I thought it was kind of interesting that somebody had taken a $2 bill and thrown, we know, with Jefferson's picture on it. Well, I'm here at Thomas Jefferson's grave, and they don't let you come in, but I got my camera through the gate, and you can see the inscription is what the 3 things that he wanted to be remembered by. And then you see that his sons and his wife are at the pedestal, and it looks like somebody threw a $2 bill down there with Jefferson's face on it. So that's kind of interesting. But his children and his wife are buried here along with him. And this lays out the chart of where everybody's at. Granddaughter, grandson, grandson's wife, daughter, yep, the man himself, wife, son-in-law, great-granddaughter, granddaughter. There's graves in here as early as 97. They're on the front there. Jane Randolph, wife of Peter Jefferson, mother of Thomas Jefferson. I wonder if she's actually buried there. I guess she is. She died here in 1776. There you see Thomas Jefferson's grave and his family, immediate family members, and then some of the other graves in the Monticello cemetery. Some of them have explanations and some of them don't. They saw me coming, didn't they? Well, maybe they've got that set up for me for when my time comes. No last name, unless Jeff is the last name. And you can see how extensive this Monticello cemetery is. There's Thomas Jefferson way at the end there, and then all these stones. Looks like they got room for more. How do you get buried at Monticello Cemetery? All right, we're walking down the trail from the cemetery, which was up there, and instead of taking the tram or the trolley or the bus, we're gonna do the healthy choice and walk the trail down to the visitor center. And as you can see, it's straight down the mountain, Monticello. So after we got back down the hill and we're at the bus station, of course, had to do some selfies with Thomas Jefferson's statue, and I'm not immune to being a little silly at times. And then it was time for lunch. So we went to a place called Mickey Tavern, which is a 1700s tavern. It's kind of pricey, but it's a neat experience. It's you're eating in a tavern where people like Thomas Jefferson and his visitors and people from that area. Also, John Monroe lived there, so he probably ate there. But it's a really nice little place. I think we spent $60 on lunch. It's a buffet style lunch. You load your first plate yourself, and it's chicken, fried chicken, baked chicken, barbecue chicken, or barbecue pork, mashed potatoes, gravy, green beans, just all kinds of stuff. This is in the shop. They also have a shop, and you can tell they have a sense of humor. So overall, lunch was about $60, and we didn't go into the general store, but there's also a general store at Mickey Tavern. But it was a good experience overall. We also wanted to go to Highland, which is the home of James Monroe. Although Monticello allows dogs on the grounds, Highland does not, so we had to skip that one.